Welcome back. I'm Cody, the Rad Retro Dad, and today I'm going to show you guys how to program keyboard functionality into any standard game controller that's connected to your PC. It doesn't matter if it's generic, like this one, or an Xbox controller. They all work. And then we're going to go over to a website called Punktendo, and I'm going to show you a rockin' use case scenario.
Come on, let's all go to the Rad Retro Show. Master of the Retroverse, he's the Rad Retro Dad. He's the Rad Retro Dad.
All right, guys, as the intro had said, I am going to show you guys how to program keyboard inputs into the buttons of any game controller that's connected to your PC. And it doesn't matter what game controller. There are multiple methods to accomplish this, but I'm going to show you two programs that can do this, and both of them are fairly easy to use. We're going to use Xpatter and we're going to use JoyToKey. I will leave links in the description to both of those programs. For me personally, I think that Xpatter is the easier program to use. Now, it does lack a little bit of functionality that JoyToKey has, but I think for the purposes of emulation or PC gaming, Xpatter is going to do just about everything you want. But if you do run into a case where you need some more advanced functionality, JoyToKey is going to be your program. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would we want to program keyboard functionality into the gamepad? Why not just hook up the gamepad and just use the inputs that it provides? Well, as we all know, not every game and program are created equally, especially when you're talking about building like a custom arcade or a custom console machine, emulation machine. Not all the inputs are going to function together as well as you'd want them to. And especially when you're going from like a Windows PC game to an emulated game, those inputs might not always mesh well. For me, if I'm building a arcade and I want to have some emulated games, but I also want some of my Steam library to be able to be played on that arcade machine, and all you have is just one controller. Well, I mean, one for each player, but it's not like you have the option of swapping to a Xbox controller on an arcade machine. For that reason, you have to make all of your games work and function with the controller that's provided. And the way that I accomplish this is by using these two programs. So let's get into it. And then after I do the tutorial, I'm going to show you guys a really cool website called Punktendo, and I think you should go check it out, especially if you're a punk rock fan. All right, guys. So before I get into the tutorial here, I do want to mention that Xpatter and JoyToKey are going to be linked in the description. Xpatter is a paid program. It's like $10. And for me, $10 is a small price to pay for how easy this program is to use. The other option is JoyToKey. That's the free option. So if you don't want to spend any money, that's all right. Got you covered. JoyToKey is another fantastic program. It does pretty much everything that Xpatter does, but it's not as like straightforward. It's not too hard either, but I'll show you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with Xpatter. So when you first open Xpatter, you're going to get this screen. This is kind of like a setup process. And the first three screens don't really matter. It's basically disclaimers. So go ahead and click it 1, 2, 3 times. Now here, you want to make sure you don't just click through fast, because you might be stuck on English and you might speak French. So make sure that you pick your language here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to leave it as English. and click start. And then this is another kind of disclaimer welcome screen thing. It just shows you that where you have the program installed. Doesn't really matter. I don't even know why they included this. You already know where it's at. And let's go ahead and hit start. Now, this is the important screen. This is where your profile files are going to be saved. And you can do them in two different locations. I give you two options, either My Documents or the Programs location. I personally like to keep all my arcade builds all together into one folder. So all the games, all the programs, everything that I would need is contained into one folder, not spread out across my computer. I like to keep it in the program location, but you can put them in My Documents if you want. Doesn't really matter, just depends on what you're using it for. All right, this is basically giving the program permission to associate your profile files with the program. So just hit associate. So after you go through that initial setup, you're greeted with this screen here. And now we can start programming our game controller. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that your game controller is connected to your PC and make sure it's detected by your PC, because sometimes you might get some random generic gamepad that Windows is having a hard time discovering. So make sure it's functioning in Windows before you do this. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna click this yellow area right here. It has a little arrow that says here, click new, blah blah blah, but you just have to click the yellow, and it will bring up controller settings for your USB gamepad. And in this window is where we're gonna add each input and each button that we want to program. So we want to start out by adding the D-pad. So we're going to hit the D-pad option here. So from here, we're going to hit enable, and it's going to ask you to press up, down, left, right. And once you do, you will see that it detects it all properly. So make sure that it's detecting the proper inputs. Now we're going to add the buttons by going to the buttons option. Here we don't have to click enable. All you have to do is press a button and it will show up on the layout. So go ahead and just press every button you want to add to your layout. You will see them just kind of pop up on the screen as you do it. Go ahead and add every button that you have on your controller. You might not use them all, but they're nice to have it there and you don't have to come back in and add them later. Okay, another thing to note, if you have a controller that has analog sticks, you're going to add an analog stick just like we did a D-pad. We're going to click analog stick and we're going to enable it. And then you're going to follow the instructions. And then you will enable the next one and follow the instructions. You also do this for the triggers as well, because triggers are an analog input. You don't have to do it for the bumpers. The bumpers are just buttons, but the triggers are analog inputs. All right, once we have all of our inputs added to our layout, we're going to hit OK. And as you can see, now they display on the main screen here. And if you want to test it, you can go ahead and test that all the inputs work. And they'll highlight green when you press a button. All right, so now we're going to go to Punktendo. And this is a website where you can play NES games that are punk themed. And I just thought this was super fun. And we'll get into it later on. But I want to program this gamepad to work with the controls for the games on this website. And they have all of their games programmed to a keyboard input, which is why I chose this website. And so they provide the layout right here. And you can see that the D-pad is the arrows, and then your start and select are shift and return, and your A and B button are Z and X. So let's pull up Xpatter, move it out of the way a little bit here, and let's go ahead and let's program the D-pad to be the arrow buttons. So you can see that your D-pad is right here. You got your up, down, left, and right. Just click the up and simply choose the up arrow on the keyboard. Do the same for all D-pad inputs. Left, down, and right. Now, when you use the D-pad, it will function as if it's the arrow keys on a keyboard. Simple as that. Okay, now we want to program our select button. And you're like, okay, well, which one of these is the select button? Well, just push it and it'll highlight it green. So that one right there is our select button. So we're gonna click on our select button and we're gonna choose the shift key. And you notice that it didn't go away. That's all right. Just hit the X, and now you can see that the shift button is programmed to select. And the start button is return. So find your start button, assign it return. And for standard Nintendo games, we only have to program 2 buttons. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do Y is B and B is A, just so it kind of mimics the layout of an NES controller. If you have an NES controller, and you just do it like that. So we're going to find the input for Y, and we're going to assign it as Z. And we're going to do the same for B. It's right next to it. And we're going to assign it X. And now our gamepad is set up to play all the games on Punktendo's website. Now, on the Punktendo website, there is another input that they don't list here. And that is the escape key. And the escape key allows you to reset the emulator. And there's a couple other options as well. I'm going to show you an advanced input. We're going to program our start button to also be the escape button. But I'm going to show you how we can do that without interfering with the enter button. So identify your start button, click it, and from here, you can change the input, but we don't want to change it from return. We want it to add an input to it. So we're going to go to advanced. And from here, you can add multiple inputs into a single button. So you could simply just click that second input area and then click the escape button. And now when you push it, it will register as both inputs. The problem with that is that it will press them both at the exact same time. We don't want that. We want to program a 3-second delay for our escape button. So we're going to click back on that previous input. We're going to replace the escape with one of these buttons down here. And the one that we're going to choose is add hold zone. This is kind of weird down here. Right now, it's set to 1/10 of a second. You can change it by the 1/10 of a second, and you can change it by the second, and then you can change it by holding it for however many seconds as you want. But we want to hold it for 3 seconds. So we're going to go down here, and we're going to minus that 1/10 of a second, and we're going to add 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Once you have it set to 3 seconds, click the next input box right here. Now click your escape key. All right. Then hit OK. Close this. And now this button has 2 functionalities. If you quick press it, it'll just act as a start button or a return button on the keyboard. But if you click and hold it for 3 seconds, it will activate the escape key. Now, before I show you how this is done, we got one more step. We need to save our profiles. So right here, we want to save it 2 different ways. We're going to save the layout. And we're going to call this whatever your controller is. I'm just going to say SNES, save. Once that's saved, we're going to click the little save icon on the other one. Now this one right here saves a input profile. The next one saves a controller profile. So when you plug this controller in, it's going to detect what profile is assigned to it. If you have multiple controllers connected to your computer, you can use the same profile, button profile, so that you don't have to keep programming it over and over and over again. All right, let's save the controller profile. And this one's going to be called SNES Player 1. Simple as that. And hit save. And once it saves, now you're good to go. Before we go and test out our newly programmed inputs, I'll show you some useful settings for the program. So click on this little wrench up here in the top right corner, and from here you have all kinds of options for the program itself. But really, I want to talk about two important ones. If you're programming your controls on like an arcade machine, or on like you want it to function like it's a home console that you put all your games on, then you don't want to mess with opening up this program every time you start the computer. So you want to click Start with Windows, and it will automatically start, and it will automatically minimize it. This Start Minimized means that you manually open up the program, but it'll just open up minimized. Hopefully that makes sense. And now you can go through and you can look at all these other settings, but that's the most important one in here. Now, once you have all your settings the way you want, click OK. And from here, we can minimize it. We're done. So let's go to the Punktendo website and let's give this a test. All right, so let's scroll through this website a little bit. I think this is awesome. So these are all Nintendo NES games, but reimagined with a punk twist to them. And so right off the bat, you can see Descendants, Gob. I mean, I haven't listened to Gob since like the early 2000s. And I don't even know if they're still playing. Maybe they are, but it's just not a band that's really on my radar. But as you scroll through here, you can see that there are some fun ones. Super Green Day Bros 2. It's basically Super Mario Brothers 2, but instead of Mario and his friends, it's all the band members that you can choose as your character. Black Flag Rollins. You can see they put Henry Rollins right here, his head. And so they programmed him as the character. One of my favorites, River City Rancid. You could play as Tim or Lars in this game. It's awesome. And it goes on. You know, you got this one that you can play as Milo from the Descendants, or you can play as the MXPX guy. I don't know what this guy's name is. He might have a name, but you can play as either one of these guys when you're playing this game. And if you haven't played this game, this is a cool game. I had this game. I still have it. I have a copy of it still, but it was one of my favorite games on the NES when I was younger. Matt Skiba's Ghosts and Goblins. It's Ghosts and Goblins, but once you lose all your armor, it's like a little Matt Skiba running around. Hilarious. And it goes on. I mean, Bubble Bobble, but you're playing as Mark Hoppus. The Adventures of Joey Ramone. I mean, come on. Metroid featuring Laura Jane Grace. That's kind of funny. And if you're not and if you haven't heard Against Me, they're a fantastic band. But I think my favorite one on this list is Fat Mike's Golf. And everybody knows that Fat Mike from MXPX, he loves his golf. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try this game. So now we've got a game loaded up. We can test our inputs. We can use select to choose our mode. We're going to do it one player and hit start. And now that we're in game, the way that this works is this is kind of like the OG golf game. So we're going to hit it. I really shanked that one. All right, so let's. If you use your arrow buttons, you can see that you can turn your direction. And since I'm shanking it, we're gonna do it this way. And I missed the sand pit. Same thing. We're gonna do it. Boop boop. Oh yeah. Oh, into the sand. All right, so I told you that there's an additional input here to control the console itself. You have to press and hold your start button until it registers as escape, which is about 3 seconds. And there you have it. But from here, now you can reset the console and start over. All right, let's go back. And now let's go over JoyToKey. We're going to do the same thing with JoyToKey. All right, so go ahead and if you haven't already, go ahead and install JoyToKey, and then let's open it up. And when you open up JoyToKey, you're greeted with this screen here. And it is less visual when using this, but you can still press your buttons and find out which input is which. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to double click this input. And this one, let's keep in mind, this one is the left input. And what we're going to do is we're going to click over here on the top option. And we're just going to press the key on the keyboard that we want it to be. So we want it to be the left arrow. And then hit OK. Now you can see that the function is left arrow. Now do the same for the right, up, and down arrows. So this one is right. And if you can't remember which one it is, it'll show you a little preview at the top of the screen here. Hit OK. Now we're going to do up, OK, down, OK. The reason this is a little bit more confusing is because they give you a ton of options when you double click that, and it's not clear as to what to do. So now we're going to do our select button. So we got to scroll through here, find out which input it is. There it is right there. So we just scrolled through, we're pushing the button, we're scrolling through until we see the yellow. So now that we know it's button 9, again, we're going to double click this, and the select needs to be the shift key. So we're just going to hit shift and then hit OK. And then we're going to do the same for the start button. Right there, double click it, hit return, hit OK. Now it's assigned return. And then go ahead and set up the rest of them. So we've got this as our B button. Which one was it? Number 4. Double click it. And the B button is Z. Hit OK. We're going to do our A button. And that is X. Click OK. And now our gamepad is set up to the controls for Punktendo. Now, how do you program a delayed response for the escape key like we did in the other one? So let's go back to, cancel. Yeah, it's already picking up the input. So we're going to go back to our start button. I'm going to click it, and we're going to click on keyboard multi. And from here, we have a ton of options. But what we want to do is we want to choose the one that says switch depending on how long the button is pressed. Now, this is in milliseconds. So you got to figure out how many milliseconds 3 seconds is. So The way that I do that is say, Alexa, how many milliseconds in 3 seconds?
3 seconds is 3,000 milliseconds.
So we're going to do 3,000 milliseconds. And that will be 3 seconds. You can do it on a calculator. You can go online and you can find a milliseconds to seconds calculator if you need to, if you don't have an Alexa to help you. All right, so you want to have your first input be the return and your second input be escape. It will register escape after you hold it down for 3 seconds now. All right, let's go ahead, hit OK, and you can see short and long. So it's got 2 different inputs assigned to that one. And you can see there are multiple different options. Both of these programs can do really powerful inputs. Just one is easier to use than the other. All right, let's go to File, Save. And that's going to save as Profile 1. Let's go back to our Punktendo, and this time we're going to do Super Green Day Bros 2. So let's go ahead and click that. Let's give it a try. So let's see, our start button. Let's go ahead and let's choose our character. We're going to do Billy Armstrong. And we're going to hit start. Hey, it's all, so most of the time with Nintendo games, it's start to select your character. And then we are just playing Super Mario Brothers 2, but with Billy Joel Armstrong, which is amazing. It's been a while since I played Super Mario Brothers 2, but there is a secret up here. Let's get rid of this guy. And then one of these, it's obviously gonna be the last one. And we're gonna throw that down, we're gonna go into that door. And then from here, we can get us a mushroom. Get an extra cherry there too. There we go. I'm getting back in the habit here. Ah! Anyways, you get the point. So that's how you use both of these programs. You got a paid option and you got a free option. And if you've got the money, go with Xpatter. It's a simpler to use program and more straightforward. So I just wanted to do this video, show you guys a little tutorial on how I program multiple gamepads to work simultaneously with all the games that I have on one arcade machine. Or you can also use this method to, like, if you have like a mini PC or something and you want to turn it into an emulation box, but you also want to like play your Steam library on it and you want to use one controller, you can use this method to program multiple options. Now, with that being said, Steam itself has a really good input option on its overlay, and you can program your gamepads in multiple ways, but it would require you to add your emulators and different things to your Steam library. It's a process. I think that this is a better option. I know I was a little bit all over the place with this, but I wanted to show these two programs to you. This is how I kind of bring together the controls to work with multiple different games that may require all kinds of different inputs. You can just kind of like make them all work using these tools. And if you have any questions about these programs, leave that in the comments as well. You can get these generic gamepads at Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description, and you can get these for super cheap, like 2 for $10. And they're fantastic for playing emulators and whatnot. And you can get the Super Nintendo, you can get Nintendo, you can get Sega Genesis, you can get N64. You can get a generic controller for just about any console that can be emulated. So I'll leave some links in the description to my favorites. Until next time, Stay rad and stay retro.